This interview with one of the greatest surfers ever, Rob Machado, is brought to you by Kirkwood Mountain Resort. Kirkwood already has the best snow in all the Tahoe region, and with the heaviest dump in nearly a quarter century, Kirkwood will stay open at least through the end of April, providing snowboarders and skiers the best snow in Northern California. Visit Kirkwood.com for more information. This interview with one of the greatest surfers ever, Rob Machado, is also brought to you by San Francisco Surf Company. San Francisco's newest surf shop is also its most eco-friendly, featuring organic soft apparel, a bookstore, art gallery, and more. Located on the corner of Union and Fillmore Streets in San Francisco, visit sfsurf.co for more information. That's sfsurf.co. Here is one of the greatest surfers ever, Rob Machado, on the extreme scene. I'm here live with Rob Machado, one of the greatest surfers in the world. We're actually here. Did you hear that often?
That's generous.
It's pretty honest. And thank you for being humble. But we're here live at Slim's. We're doing a show tonight. You're actually touring the country, doing a bunch of shows with your band, Melali Sessions Band, and you're promoting a movie called Melali the Drifter Sessions, which, if I'm not mistaken, is almost like the outtakes from The Drifter, which you released, I think, like 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So far, how's the tour going?
It's been great. We're only 3 shows in. We've done. We started in San Diego, kind of just down the street from my house, which was awesome, and then Orange County and Santa Barbara. And shows have been really good so far. It seems like every night we kind of just gel a little bit better, more and more, and just get more kind of familiar with the tunes. And it's been really fun though.
Nice. And how long has your band been together now?
That's tricky because everyone's kind of a musician in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these guys, and we kind of just. I gave this project, I put it in John Swift's lap, kind of to take charge, and he gathered all these musicians together. Todd Hannigan, he's like a musician in his own. Everyone is a musician in their own right, and kind of play in different gigs and their own gigs, and so we kind of pulled ourselves together to make this band. I don't even know if you call us a band. I mean, we are, but
Yeah. So this is your first tour together then?
Yeah, we've only played like maybe a handful of shows before this.
Wow.
So it's been great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the chemistry's solid?
Yeah. I mean, we've all known each other for quite a period of time, so it's just a matter of, finally like committing to getting together and playing music.
Nice. And we're joined by Rob Machado here on the extreme scene. Now the premise for your shows that you're doing on this tour is pretty unique. It's on one hand, people are coming to see the movie, which is called Melali the Drifter Sessions. On the other hand, people are coming to listen to your music, and your band's name is Melali Sessions Band. I think this has happened, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think once before, I think Tom Curran actually did a tour similar to this.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess I was going to ask if that was your inspiration, but I suppose not. Then how did you guys come up with the whole premise for doing it? It's very unique. I mean, I didn't know, you've never even heard of this until.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of. I'd never heard of Tom doing it, but I could imagine him doing it.
Okay.
Before that, maybe like 5 Summer Stories. Last time I heard of it happening, where the band actually played on stage while the movie was playing. And try to recreate the soundtrack. And that was kind of the idea, the concept going into making the movie. We pulled together all these sessions that we'd had during the Drifter filming, all the stuff that kind of got left out, and we started putting them together, and we're like, wow, we have all these really cool sessions that are going down. And then it was like, oh, let's make a movie. And then it's like, well, what about music? Music's always kind of a big deal, and it's always money involved, so I just went, I'd rather spend the money on pulling a group of incredible musicians together to create our own soundtrack, which eventually could lead to what we're doing. It's like being able to play on stage while the movie's playing and recreate that soundtrack.
And it seems like very vintage. It's something I could see happening in like the 60s or 70s,
Yeah.
Which to me is badass. I love that whole concept. I try to do like as much research as possible before I do interviews, and obviously in this day and age, Wikipedia is like the first place you go. And in my years of doing interviews, I've learned that half the stuff on there is false.
Really?
And correct maybe in your case, but there wasn't a lot on your page. But one thing that stuck out to me was this: it said that you were actually born in Sydney, Australia.
That's
but,
true.
But everyone knows you as the San Diego, like, Cardiff guy. So, like,
Yeah.
how did you, like, was it just you were born there and then moved to San Diego, or do you have roots in Australia, or, like, how did your childhood, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, my parents lived there for like 15 years. And at the end of that stint, I was born. I moved back here when I was three or four. And so, yeah, that was the end of my kind of... I still have an Australian passport, which comes in handy.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So are you like a dual citizen? Like,
Yeah. Dual.
That means you have all the perks of everything for traveling, right?
Yeah, it's great. I use both passports.
Wow. Are you... sorry, yeah.
Yeah, depending on where I'm going.
That's amazing. Are your parents surfers? Like, did they get you in the water? And
Yeah, my dad's a surfer, and my mom, no.
Okay.
My mom's like, she's British. Water's got to be like 82 before she gets in. You know?
It's like most girls, actually.
Yeah, they like to be warm.
It's like, that's fun. And, dude, and, you've ended up becoming one of the greatest surfers in the world. I mean, on the competitive side, I think you finished in the top 3 like twice, which is remarkable. But then you've also created this whole new career strictly free surfing, like just doing movies and stuff like that. Like, how did you become talented? Like, what do you credit for that? Is it just endless hours when you were a kid? Was there an inspiration? Like, what do you credit into becoming one of the greatest surfers today?
Gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, for me, it was just like being passionate about something, falling in love with doing it and just doing it because you love to do it and I remember like just running down the beach every single day to go surfing because I just wanted to get better and experience more and different waves and different boards and everything. So it was, then it just evolved, it's kind of, so I mean, I'm pretty stoked. I'm really stoked. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything, I feel like I have like one of the best jobs in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get too many arguments with that.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started surfing?
I mean, my parents had me down at the beach when I was a little kid, but they told me I was scared to death of the water.
Wow.
When I was real little, and then I remember my memories are when I was like 6 or 7, just starting to like body surf and play in the little white waters and stuff, and then started boogie boarding when I was like 8, 9, and then started surfing when I was like 10.
Wow, some would say that's kind of old to get started, considering how talented you are.
Yeah,
it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, but I think realistically, just it's more about like a learning about the ocean and waves and stuff like that, and that I stem that back to like when I was like 3 or 4, when I was this like freaked out little kid, I was still looking at the ocean, right?
Yeah.
It's like just that the concept of the ocean and like what it's doing and what it is, and waves. That's kind of half the battle. So
safe to say you've been a waterman almost like your whole life, pretty much, even if not a.
That's a bold word to use, but I mean that's always been a goal in my life, is to become that.
Fair enough. And we're joined by Rob Machado here in the extreme scene. He's touring the country right now. We're at Slim's. We're taping this interview. He's promoting Melali, the Drifter Sessions, which, would you call it a sequel to the Drifter, or do you want to? Is it really its own film?
No, it's definitely not a sequel. It's kind of like an offshoot to it. It was, I had all these amazing surfers come down and hang out. From Dane, Kalani, Mike Lawson, Dan Malloy, Kelly, and it was like that. They just didn't fit into the Drifter. It was hard to tie other surfers in, and there wasn't a lot of surfing in the Drifter, and so we were left with all this extra footage, and it would be a shame to have it go to waste.
Yeah.
Their time, their efforts, and just all this beautiful footage to be left on the floor.
Yeah, the Drifter was almost like a film.
Yeah.
Whereas, so is it safe to say like this is more like your more stereotypical surf film?
Yeah.
And the first was because the first was really unique and it was a beautiful film.
This is more like a surf movie. It's sessions with guys, set to music, and there's no real talking and there's no storyline. It's just like, here's some cool shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're talking about the movie Melali, the Drifter Sessions, and we're joined by Rob Machado, who's lead guitarist. Are you the lead guitarist as well as singer for Melali Sessions Band?
No, I just play electric guitar and acoustic guitar.
Okay.
So.
Are there vocals in your band, or is it mostly just jam
sessions?
Yeah,
there's vocals.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. John sings and Todd, and then we kind of back them up.
Have you been a musician for a long time? Did you get into this late, or when did you get started with playing guitar?
I started playing guitar when I was like 15 or 16. Actually, me and John started around the exact same time. We've been friends for a long time.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's instant chemistry right there then.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
We've known each other forever, and it's pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I want to shift to surfing for just a few minutes. In your competitive days, you were phenomenal. I mean, anyone who follows surfing for a long time knows how well you did. Now, one thing I never really kept track of, and I actually tried to look it up, and that's why I'm asking, what were the injuries that derailed you? Like, is it safe to say there were injuries is what kind of took you off the tour? And if so, what were they?
It's kind of an interesting year that year. It was 2001. My wife was pregnant, and there were some complications with the pregnancy. That caused me to miss an event. I broke my hand. That caused me to miss an event.
How'd you do that?
Stupidest thing. Like, me and my buddy, he's like this. I mean, it's like a 2-foot day. This little, the best wave of the day comes in. He's like, I'm going right. I was like, cool, I'll go left. I went to paddle up around behind him to go left.
Mm-hmm.
And just as I went to paddle, my finger snagged on his wetsuit, and then it hit his board and just folded my hand under and broke my hand. Wow.
So was it the finger that snapped, or was it just where the knuckle
no,
kind
of? It was weird. The finger went under, but then it broke here.
Oh, wow.
So it's that put me out for a few events, and then some dudes fly airplanes into buildings, and and that kind of cancels the whole second half of the year. And then my daughter was born right before the last event in November, before Hawaii, so I missed another event. It was basically at the end of the year there was only 5 events, and I surfed in one.
Wow, that was your Hobgood one, right?
Yeah.
I think I won, yeah.
So it was a super strange year. I wasn't even there, and I applied for a injury wild card, and they didn't give it to me.
What?
Yeah.
Why would they not give it to you? That's insane.
I don't know.
Did that upset you?
Yeah, I was pretty bummed out for a while.
But it kind of worked out in the end, right? I mean...
No, it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I was super bummed at first, I just felt like I was betrayed kind of by because it's the surfers that vote on it. And,
really?
Well, the weird thing was too is Kelly. That was the year Kelly decided to come back on
right.
tour.
Oh, two.
So there's only 2 wild cards, and one of them they gave to him.
Who'd they give the other one to?
And then I think Shane Dorian got it.
That's pretty solid company, man. But
no,
that's still.
But
that's
in the
rough.
end, it felt weird right then, and I was all of a sudden I felt like I was I didn't know what to do. I was kind of, and then Gotcha went bankrupt, and I didn't have a sponsor. It was the
Gotcha, dude.
really
it's crazy.
interesting time, and fast forward a year, 6 months later, Hurley comes along and says, hey, well, we want to sponsor you. I'm like, really? What do you want me to do? And they just said, just go have fun, And I was like, I didn't really know what that was, I was so focused on being on tour, and I was like, okay. It took me a little while to figure it out, and
right.
I started going on trips with Thomas Campbell and, guys who I wanted to travel with and working on projects, the Malloys, and, doing cool things, and then it just started to all make sense, wow, now I can do all these things that I've been thinking about doing.
Right.
Riding different boards and experimenting with different things. It's when you're on tour, you don't have time to do that.
It's just the whole year's planned out, right? It's
the whole year's planned out.
Yeah.
And you're constantly, you're trying to stay healthy. You're trying to stay fit. You're trying to keep your boards super dialed in. You're just trying to it's a constant evolution. You're always getting new boards to go here or there. So you can't go spend a month riding a single fin or a twin fin just to really get it dialed.
Right.
They don't want to see that on tour. They want to see high performance, ripping, and you have to constantly be fine tuning your game. So it's a full time gig.
Did you was there any resentment towards your peers shortly after that happened?
Yeah, I was totally bummed out. I remember going to another event. They gave me a wild card to an event, And I just remember like walking around, like looking at everyone. I couldn't really like look anyone in the eye. I was just like,
I don't blame you.
Or people couldn't look me in the eye. You know, it was just, there was weirdness. It was super weird. And you know, I think, like I said, my dad told me at that time. He's like, "Don't worry, you know, like something good will come out of this."
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, I was like, I don't even know like how. You know, like what good could come out of this. You know. But in the end, now I see it, and I'm just like, thank you. I like, you know.
That's
I have
amazing.
no resentment anymore, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's all good, man.
Yeah, because there's no way you're going back on the Key West or anything like that. But yeah, it totally did work out in the end. I mean, here you are, you're doing exactly what you love, right? I mean,
yeah, and now I get to do projects like this. You know, this was something I dreamed about. Like, you know, even when we were making The Drifter, I knew that there would be this movie that, like, we're making The Drifter, and then, like, I just knew we were going to have so much stuff, and I was like, we'll just take it and, you know, pull together some incredible musicians and make music and play it and show the film. And then
yeah. And we're joined by Rob Machado, who is promoting the film Melali, the Drifter Sessions, and his band is called Melali Sessions Band, and it's the combo surf movie live soundtrack. Very unusual premise. Who knows if it's even happened before? I just heard that it might have. But you know, how do you feel about people who put labels on you? Like, the label I hear the most is soul surfer, which is a very cliche term, but a lot of people consider you the epitome of that. Do you agree with that, or do you even do you just disregard labels? I mean, what's your feeling on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, because it's, you know, you walk such a strange line, you know. Like, I'm fortunate enough to get paid for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I work for Hurley, I work for Reef, I work for these incredible companies who let me be who I am, you know, and which is amazing. I couldn't ask for anything better. But it's just like, okay, if you're getting paid to do something, you know, does that take away from you being a soul surfer? It's like, the bottom line for me is that, like, I go surfing, and I love to go surfing, and I enjoy it, and I love, like, going out and sharing waves with people and seeing people get good waves and be stoked, and
right.
You know, like, that's what it's all about. Like, when you started surfing, like, to go on a little road trip with, like, a car full of your friends, and, you know, drive down the beach and find some little, you know, 4 to 6 foot peak, little barrels or something, that's like the best thing in the world
Ever.
Right?
Yeah,
it's like everybody thinks about that, and like that's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you know. And it's like that's what I get to do, is like constantly go on that little search. And so, I mean, I think that's what being a soul surfer is all about, is that you never forget like the true like love for surfing and just being in the ocean. And you know, like, you know, you talked about like a waterman, you know, like I've been finding how many different ways I could play in the ocean lately, you know. It's like I've been paddling canoes, I've done a couple channel crossings and paddleboarding and stand-up paddling and riding Elias, and you know, it's like anything I can do to just like feel something different out in the ocean and learn more about it, because it's a constant learning process.
And the Drifter caught a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Of your essence, I guess you can say. Taylor Steele did a great job with that. I got to ask you this. I know it's been, I think, 16 years now, and I apologize. You've probably heard this question a million times, but I have to know personally, if not for anyone else wondering. But the whole high five thing with Slater, which some say possibly could have cost a world title. Do you think it did cost a title, and if so, are there any regrets or?
You know, that's something like, it wasn't even a conscious thought when that happened. It was one of those things where I remember sitting out in the water with Kelly, and I actually turned and looked at the beach, and I was like, can you believe this, man? Like, we're actually out here. We're surfing like 8 to 10 foot pipe, and there's thousands of people on the beach watching us. Like, this is crazy, you know? And he was kind of like, yeah. You know?
Right.
And I guess at that point for me, like, I didn't know it, but like that was where it kind of shifted, and it was like a big shift for me. And like when that happened, you know, like I came out of the tube, it's like I wasn't thinking about like a world title or like kicking out and getting priority, and it was like, there's my friend, you know, he has his arms up, he was stoked, and I was stoked. And it's like goes back to like surfing that 4 to 6 foot beach break with a couple friends. Like that's what you would do.
Yeah.
And that's where that was where my headspace was. And honestly, I don't think it would have mattered, like, at that time. Like, Kelly he's amazing. I mean, look at him. Look what he's gone on to do since then.
Yeah.
And, like, he could continue to do that. And one of the best athletes ever to set foot on the planet.
If not ever, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was kind of just like, it was just very obvious, you know, at that stage. Like, you know, it wouldn't have mattered, honestly.
And you guys are good friends, and he's an amazing golfer. I know you golf. You have like that charity tournament every year, correct?
Yeah.
And like, he's starting to do the AT&T program. Right. He's been doing that for a few years now. Have you been invited to that? If not, is that something you're looking forward to? Maybe possibly down the road, starting to compete on the golf course. You know?
No, I got into golf for a while, and I kind of don't play that much anymore.
Okay.
My golf tournament is like, in a weird way, it kind of makes fun of golf a little bit. You know, like, we try to just have, like, as weird of things possible. Like, we incorporate, like, tennis and lacrosse and baseball and you know, any way possible that you can, like, you know, incorporate other sports. We do. It's like the least amount of golf played is
right.
Better.
Right.
People are like, I'm like, come play. They're like, yeah, but I don't play golf. I'm like, even better.
Exactly. Yeah.
You could actually be very beneficial to your team. You know, I mean, so we try to keep it loose. But Kelly's like, yeah, he's really good, and he's playing. Yeah, I went out and watched him at the AT&T this year.
Oh, nice.
They didn't do that well, but it was cool. The weather was flawless, and it was just fun to check it all out.
Yeah, I've hung out with them there a couple times. We did interviews and the Cougars are always on the prowl in Monterey. Right. You always got to be careful about those.
It's strange.
And last question, I'll let you go, and I'm asking this just because your hair is insane. It's more crazy than it's ever been. When was the last time you cut it, and when do you plan on cutting it, if ever?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've honestly, it is. I when I started filming The Drifter, that was it. I kind of told myself I wasn't going to cut my hair for a while, and it kind of has been growing since then, which was probably 2007, 2008, like late 2007. I've watched it a few times since then.
3.5 years.
Maybe. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's good. As long as I'm in the ocean, you know, it hangs in there. And I cut a few chunks off with a knife at one point.
Did you really?
I just got frustrated.
Are you a religious guy? Sorry to ask this, I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
I don't know why I asked that. I was just curious.
Yeah, it's okay.
Never read anything about it.
Yeah.
Your hair's amazing, man. I love it.
Thanks.
Never.
Kind of crazy.
It's the epitome of a rock star, dude.
It's hard to surf in.
Well, Mia here, she was talking about that. Well, and anything you want to plug or promote before we let you go?
Yeah, we're actually, my golf tournament's on the 18th this month.
Oh, wow,
next
okay.
week, yeah.
And what's the website if people want to donate or?
You can go on the RobMachadoFoundation.org.
Perfect.
And then the following week, later in the week, is we're having a pro junior at Seaside Reef.
Oh, wow, beautiful.
Down by my house, yeah.
It's back-to-back weekends.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool with all the kids, you know, Kalohe and Connor and Evan Geiselman and all that. We'll be there, and it'll be super fun.
Nice. And then, of course, your main sponsors, Hurley, Reef, and Nixon, right? Is that?
Hurley, Reef, Nixon, Dragon, Channel Islands, yeah.
Perfect, man. Well, and he's still touring the country. It's Melali the Drifter Sessions, the name of the movie, and the band is the Melali Sessions Band. Do rock it tonight. Thank you so much